Hi, Jackie. Welcome to MovieJunk. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. So excited to have you on. We have the extremely talented and beautiful actress model, Jackie Moore, who starred in hit shows such as the Westworld, the Mindy Project, and you've also lead starred in many Lifetime Channel films as well. And with nearly 60 credits to your name, I can't thank you enough for joining us today.
Thank you so much for that introduction. That was so nice.
Well, before we get kick-started, I got to ask, how was your Thanksgiving?
It was really nice. I love Thanksgiving because I think it's like all of my favorite foods on one plate, and I'm just a Thanksgiving fan. What about yours?
Yeah, I mean, our Thanksgiving was good. We actually went to my sister's place, and my brother-in-law just, he loves cooking. So any excuse to get everybody over and just have, meals, that's like every day's a holiday for him when we do that. So it was good. We grew up a lot.
That's so nice. And where are you located? Are you on the East Coast or?
West Coast too.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. It was beautiful on Thanksgiving. Like the weather was perfect. It was just like it was so nice to just be with friends, and I played Scrabble. Actually, I forgot to mention that.
Well, you
And
know what it is too. We kind of lucked out. Yeah, the weather was awesome on the West Coast. I know I have a lot of friends and family on the East Coast, and it's already starting to get really cold over there. You're originally from the East Coast, right?
I am, yes, I'm familiar with the cold. I'm from New Jersey, so it's
Jersey, New Jersey. So, I mean, I don't know if you're a Sopranos fan, but yeah, the lot of folks from the Sopranos actually follow our page and very familiar with Jersey.
I mean, how can you not be a Sopranos fan, right? It's like one of the best shows of all time. I
Yeah,
just
I mean, I
James
I,
Caan.
I personally thought I was the biggest Sopranos fan, and I actually recently just went to the Sopranos Con, which is a few months back, and the folks that I saw there put me to shame. I was like, man, there's a whole community of Sopranos fans here that I didn't even know existed.
Really? Oh my gosh. Were they dressed up like in any sort of Sopranos themed way, or was it like what was the vibe there with the
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, you got guys wearing the Tony Soprano robe, the robe that he used to wear to go get his newspaper,
Yeah.
just in the middle of everybody, like wearing robes. People dressed up like Carmela, guys dressed up like Paulie Walnuts. It was awesome.
That is so cool. And where was this? Where is this held?
It
Just
was
like,
actually in Atlantic City.
oh my gosh. That's like perfect.
Yeah, I was in Atlantic City at the Harrah's Hotel.
I've actually never been to Atlantic City. And being from New Jersey, that's kind of, strange, but yeah, I would love to go one day, and maybe it would have to be for that. That sounds like a really great time.
Yeah, that was actually the
I would
first
do that.
time. That was my first time going to Atlantic City. I've been to the East Coast or New York plenty of times, and that was my first time going to Atlantic City. And actually, another an actor that you've worked with quite a few times, Eric Roberts, he was also there.
I have worked with him quite a few times. We actually have the same agent too. So what he was there? Was he
He
on
was
The
there.
Sopranos?
Well, it was actually Sopranos Con and Mob Movie Con combined.
Oh, so which movie, like Pope of Greenwich Village? Was it that?
Hope of Greenwich, that was a big one, and yeah, so it was just a whole collection of. So they combined the Sopranos Con and the Mob Movie Con together. So you
Cool.
had folks from Goodfellas, just all kinds of famous mob movies, Godfather, all in one, Scarface, all in one place, and it was just unbelievable. I have a good picture with Eric Roberts. I'll send it to you. I have it posted on my Instagram. He's hilarious. He's awesome.
Oh, I love him, and his wife is such a doll too. They're like the cutest couple. Also, I mean, yeah, he's amazing. I mean, I love him. I tell him every time we work together, I'm like, I love you in Star 80. Have you ever seen Star 80?
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
one of the best movies. I mean, his performance was so incredible, and yeah, I always tell him that. Wait, I never saw Pope of Greenwich Village. That is a mob movie? Was I right, or is
Well,
that?
it's also with Mickey Rourke.
Yes.
So yeah, definitely. I mean, this is like an all-time classic. If I'm not mistaken, I heard recently they're thinking of maybe bringing it back as a TV series or a remake. It's just such a pure movie. If have you seen it before? Or
I know I saw like the first 15 minutes. My mom loves that movie, and I always loved Daryl Hannah too. So I know she's in it. And I think it was just one of those things where I watched it and then I was working and I didn't end up finishing it, and I need to finish it.
Yeah, no, I highly suggest it. I actually just recently, coincidentally, watched it a few months back, and just, again, it's like always watching it for the first time, even when you rewatch it. So, highly
Yeah.
recommend it. And so, if I'm not mistaken, so you mentioned you're originally from the East Coast. What made you move to the West Coast? Was it for Hollywood or?
Yes, definitely for that. My manager at the time was kind of pushing me to move, because he was just like working with me while I was in New York, and he was sending me out on auditions or doing like taped auditions. And actually, a friend of mine, I've said this before, like he had this. It was one of those moments in your life. I don't know. I'm sure you've had these moments where it's just like a turning point, and someone says something to you, and you're just like, wow, like, you have to make a choice in that moment. And I think it was, I'm not sure which year, but it was right before I moved. A friend of mine who's a producer, he said, if you want to live in New York, you can do finance in New York or whatever, something like that. But if you move to LA, that's for acting. So it's like, you have to move to LA if you want to act. This is not, obviously there's a ton of plays and incredible actors that are New York based, but I think for the majority of the acting work is here. And I think that it really did change my life, that moment. And I cried, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I have to leave my family. And it was just such a big deal to like do it. But once you do it, you don't look back. You just have to make that move sometimes for at least try. I think that's what I did. I had to try.
So, if I'm not mistaken, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but your original passion was filmmaking. You wanted to be a director, right? Before you wanted to become an actress. Is that right?
Yes, I still do. I still do. It was something that I've said I wanted to do since I was like a little kid. When you're a kid and someone says, what do you want to be when you grow up? And it was always just like director. And I don't even know why. I didn't even really know why I said it. It was just, I loved movies. I've always loved movies. And I think, yeah, that's something I have like a Canon 5D, and I film and edit and do, my thing. But yeah, I co-wrote a movie that's going to be filmed next year. So that'll be hopefully a stepping stone towards maybe more filmmaking.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, Nat, when we get closer to the release date, we're going to use that as an excuse to get you back, and we can talk a little bit more about it.
Definitely.
So was there a director, was there a movie that kind of inspired you like growing up, or was it just kind of all around movies? You're just like, I love this business and I want to get into it.
Oh my gosh. When I was a kid, I watched like Mars Attacks like a million times.
Yeah.
I watched like First Wives Club. There's just like so many movies that I would just watch them over and over, and I love them. And I don't know if those were exactly like what made me want to do it, but it was just like, I knew that I love the world that is created with a film. It's just like, it's an escape from every day. And I just always, if I liked a certain movie, I would watch it over and over. And I think I just respected the fact that like someone created this like world that you can go visit and experience. And it's a beautiful art form. So I think that's why I was always interested.
One of my favorite horror films is Candyman.
Oh yeah.
And you coincidentally worked with Candyman in Army of the Damned, and Michael Berryman was also in there. He was Crazy Earl. I remember this movie very well because I followed up with Tony Todd, and every time his movies come out, because he does a lot of movies now that come out to DVD, and it's very easy to access on stream. And that was actually one of the first movies that I noticed you in.
Oh my God.
I think
what's my best performance?
No, that movie's awesome. That movie's awesome. It's horror, and it's a little funny too. And it's it's easily accessible. It's on YouTube. If you guys haven't seen it, Army of the Damned, it's a fun movie to watch. But yeah, Tony Todd is awesome. And I can't let you sneak out of here without giving me a a Tony Todd story, and also maybe even Michael Berryman. I mean, that guy has looked the same for 40 years.
Oh, he's incredible. I mean, he's just like an icon forever. I mean, he was in The Hills Have Eyes. It's like just you're once you do like one of those. I mean, and then Tony Todd with Candyman. It's like once you do a movie like one of those, you're forever iconic. I mean, it's just like it was an honor to work with them, and I will never forget. I remember Tony Todd comes to set, and we had this one scene with like it was like a SWAT truck. I don't know if that's the right term, but we had this one scene, and Tony had this like vape that he was, I guess, I don't know if he brought it or it's his personal vape. And I just remember like I was standing back watching the monitor, and his presence is so strong, and just like everything is silent. I mean, it was just like watching him act was just incredible. And he takes this vape and just blows the smoke out. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this is like, I can't believe I'm seeing this in real life. It was just amazing. It was just, and especially being a new actress to work with someone like that. And you really learn so much from these, you know, these incredibly talented people. It's just an honor. So yeah, I'll never forget that.
Is he anything like Candyman? Is he offset?
He's like the nicest person. He was so cool. And Michael Berryman is so sweet too. They were both like, I mean, that was a great experience. We shot that in Rhode Island. We had a lot of fun. We all like went out and like party. There's like this, I remember there's one bar in Rhode Island that's like, I don't know the name of it, but it's got like a different theme in every room that you go in, and there's like swings on the bar, and oh my gosh, I recommend this place. It was fun. I was like, it was a fun.
I might need to bug you for that name in case if I'm ever in Rhode Island. That place sounds like amazing. I want to go check it out.
Oh yes, well, Rhode Island luckily is like it's pretty small, so I don't think I'll have that much of a hard time to figuring out what it is, or I'll just text one of my friends from that still live there. They all still live there and film there too. So
do you, I mean, with nearly 60 credits, I mean, you've done a ton of film and TV. Do you have a favorite genre that you like to do? Do you like horror over drama or comedy, or are you just open to to good roles?
I'm always open. I think it's everything has to do with the story for me.
Yeah.
No, if something has a good story, I don't care if it's a Lifetime movie. If it's a good story, it's a good story. I love horror movies. I'm not gonna lie. I think it's fun.
Would you say it's your favorite genre to work in?
Yeah, because it actually I have a pretty vivid imagination. So I think like there was one scene, I don't know if you saw Pernicious, but this movie I did in Thailand was extremely gory. And I don't like gore usually. I like more psychological thrillers or things like that. But I think like being part of a horror movie when you're actually like doing the gory moments, it's cool. It's like it's not a big deal because you're seeing how it's done and kind of makes it less scary. So now when I watch movies, I can enjoy it and I'm not like terrified having to walk in the other room. So
I'm not sure if you're able to discuss this yet, but Vendetta is another movie. I mean, the cast is insane. I mean, Bruce Willis, Mike Tyson. I believe his name is Theo from Sons of Anarchy. I think his name's Theo Rossi. I mean, that cast is insane. I don't know if you're allowed to talk about it, but if you are, what's it like working with Mike and Bruce? I mean, this cast is insane.
Oh my gosh, it was. I can't say too much, but I will say I'm a huge Bruce Willis fan. I'm a huge Mike Tyson fan. I'm a huge Theo Rossi fan. Like even Clive Stanton was also incredible he was all of these actors. I mean, it was just like one icon after another. Thomas Jane is in the movie too.
Yeah.
I love Thomas Jane. He was cool to work with. I mean, Vendetta is so fun, and I got to see some of like the really cool action scenes. I don't know if I can talk about it, but I mean, at one point, one of the actors, without giving too much away, was like hanging out of the truck, like doing his own stunts. I was just like, it was amazing, like just being part of this cast. I love Bruce Willis. I love actually love The Sixth Sense. That's one of my favorite movies. It's a throwback. But and then Mike Tyson, I've watched all of his fights. Like his birthday, he's a Cancer. My astrology sign is Cancer, and his birthday is the day before mine. So we have like similar chart. Yeah. Wait, what?
That there's a connection there. Yeah.
I didn't get to meet Mike Tyson.
Oh.
I was devastated.
I was hoping to hear, you know, because there was an exciting, you know, kind of after party with the Army of the Damned. I wanted to hear the Mike Tyson.
I didn't get to meet him. It was so heartbreaking for me because, you know, at that point, I think I had just flown in to film, and I didn't know that like I could go visit set because, you know, there's more strict rules now and everything. So I was kind of just like a little bit more shy and didn't want to intrude. And then I find out he's taking pictures with everyone. He's just like the coolest guy ever, talking to, you know, just anyone that wanted to take a picture with him. He was just like, just so cool, down to earth. And I was absolutely devastated to hear that.
Do you watch his podcast?
Well, I haven't watched his podcast. I've watched every one of his fights. On YouTube, like, you know, not at the time I would have been too young or not born yet, but I am a huge Mike Tyson fan. I love him.
Yeah, he's amazing. I mean, yeah, definitely. I mean, if you're a fan, obviously check out the podcast because you're seeing a completely different side of Mike. Like he literally just opens up, and you're like the guy that you should still be intimidated by him, but the guy that we've been intimidated by this whole time, you know, is such a down to earth guy, and just, you know, the views that he has. It's like I never knew Mike, you know, would be so kind of elaborate and just has his own persona of how he goes about life now, and they're really entertaining. They're really entertaining to watch, and he has really good guests that come on his show. And then when he's a guest where he's being interviewed, it's even better because you're just getting Mike talking the entire time. So yeah, wow. Definitely check it out. I think you'll enjoy it.
I absolutely will check that out. That sounds great. I'm gonna actually write it down so I remember. Maybe I'll remember if I rewatch this, or just send me a message because I definitely want to see it.
Yeah, no, I'll send it to you. I'll send over some good ones that I think that you'll enjoy. And we also have a lot of aspiring actors and writers and filmmakers that actually tune into the podcast. And, you know, being that, you know, you're a filmmaker and you're also, you know, you just wrote a project. Do you mind just kind of sharing a little bit kind of like, you know, what your creative process is and kind of what would you recommend to any aspiring writers besides just, you know, reading a book about screenwriting?
Well, thank you for asking that. I would say don't ever give up on what you want to do. And I think like one of the things about life is that like you're going to be faced with challenges and you're going to start your project or your script that you're writing and you're going to hit a roadblock or you're going to be like, this sucks. And you're going to want to give up. And that's the point where you keep going.
Yeah.
I truly believe that the universe puts this like block to see how bad you want something. And I think like if you can just get out of your own head, and I definitely should take this advice too, but I think like sometimes in life we have this fear of being judged or like, you know, I definitely struggle with feeling like I'm not good enough or self-worth issues and things like that. And I think it's part of the human experience and we just have to keep going and just never give up. If you want to do something, like your story is so important. Everyone has a unique perspective. Everyone has something that they've gone through that no one else has gone through. So don't ever feel like you can't do something because, you know, you feel like, oh, I didn't experience that or whatever. It's like we all have our perspective and that's what makes us unique. And I think remembering that and just like you are enough, just go for it. So that's my advice.
Amazing advice and advice that I'm person I take on as well too. Have you ever hit, that roadblock and thought that maybe, you weren't going to be able to get past it and maybe call it quits? Like, has that ever happened to you, or have you always known that you're going to continue?
Oh my gosh, so many times. I think that again, it's just, you know, part of being an artist is feeling like that. Because if we never had those kind of bad days, if we never had like something that made us want to quit, it would just all be like perfect all the time and we wouldn't have a story to tell. And I think sometimes like the challenges and the heartbreaks and the times where you feel like I I just can't do it. That's when the magic happens, you know? It's like don't yeah, I think that's the important thing. You know, and it inspires other people. It's like you can get through something really difficult and you can keep going even when you feel discouraged. It's like that's going to inspire someone else to do the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Good energy feeds off each other, and, be able to, kind of build from one another, and, never giving up is obviously key.
Yeah, and I think like with artists, you know, we struggle with I mean, I definitely struggle with, you know, I get depressed sometimes and I think it's like instead of being afraid of that, embracing that, yes, there will be highs and lows, but in this business is not easy and you're going to get people saying no a lot, but there's going to be people that say yes.
Yeah, so. Absolutely. No, great advice, and definitely excited to share that with the fans. And again, it's funny, we post, podcasts, and we talk about movies and shows, and then we come across aspiring actors and writers. And if there's any advice that we can always share with them, it's great to give back and just kind of, sharing that advice. So thank you for giving that. One question I also wanted to ask, and we always like to ask the guests that join, is, when you guys are not working, so you guys are busy, but when you're not working, what are the shows that you guys are binge watching?
Oh my gosh. I just I actually watch a lot of like unsolved mysteries.
Well, it's on Netflix now.
I know, and I know it's so funny, but I love Robert Stack. I love old episodes of Unsolved Mysteries. I watch that. It's very comforting for me.
Me too. Me too.
You do? You watch Unsolved Mysteries?
I like the older ones with him. They were just so creepy. Like just the voice and the stories, they're insane. I grew up watching Unsolved Mysteries when I was a kid.
It's the best show, and he was like such an. I mean, he's like he's an American treasure, I believe, and they have him in the creepiest places. They'll be like in a graveyard with that trench coat, and there's like, the fog and everything. And it's just like, I love Unsolved Mysteries, but and I guess more currently, I'm watching. Let's see, what did I just watch? I just watched season 2 of Tiger King.
Oh, nice. Yeah, the first season was great. I haven't watched the second season yet. It can't be just as good. It's impossible. You can't top that, right? Or did they?
Definitely not as good as
the first season you can't beat.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, the second season they've got Joe Exotic, but he's like in his he's on the prison phone.
Yeah.
So it's definitely not the same. But I watched that, and then I watched. Okay, did you see the show Dirty John? But it was like the one with Amanda Peet.
Yeah, no, I've heard of it. I actually haven't watched the whole show from the beginning. I have heard of it though. Yeah.
I was blown away by Amanda Peet and Christian Slater.
They're both amazing.
What was that?
Both amazing. Both amazing.
Incredible. I was like, oh my gosh, just could not stop watching that. I watched that like a week ago, and I was just like, it was one of her best performances. I always really liked her, but this was really, really good. So
Christian just keeps killing it, man. He's awesome since the 80s and to now. I mean, he's just consistently just killing it. I love him. He's amazing.
You love True Romance. Come on.
Yeah, yeah.
I even have the Safari Inn. I did a painting of the Safari Inn.
Do you happen to have the painting handy?
I have it on my phone. But you know what's so crazy? I had never seen True Romance before I did the painting. Isn't that weird?
That's insane. So you just did it just off of some like a vision you had, or how did you come across making it?
Well, just driving, did you ever drive through to Burbank and you see the Safari and like it's just such a cool
Oh
sign?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I just was like, oh, I love that sign. I want to draw that sign. And then when I watched True Romance, I was like, oh, and that's it. Actually, it was funny that okay, so I painted that the
Oh
Safari.
wow,
The Safari.
that's the painting that you did.
Yeah, it's
That
not.
looks like a picture. That's
Thank
amazing.
you. Thank you.
Wow.
I like to paint, but yeah, Christian Slater in True Romance, man, he's incredible, so
Yeah,
good.
yeah. For
And,
the Sopranos fans, James Gandolfini was also in there too.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
and Christopher Walken.
Christopher Walken. Yeah, I mean that movie is a classic.
Oh my gosh, it was just like, and Brad Pitt's in it.
Mm-hmm.
For like a minute.
Film.
Yeah, it's just so good. Patricia Arquette is incredible too. So
And
good.
that's another one of those movies. If it's on, if it's playing, and just, you got to watch it. It doesn't matter if it's in the middle or the beginning. You're just stuck for the next, few hours having to pump that out. That's also a classic.
That yes, that one and Goodfellas. I know you mentioned that earlier. I love Ray Liotta. I'm a huge fan of his too. So have to
Did
say
you
that.
watch The Many Saints of Newark?
I did. Yeah, I did watch.
What's your feedback? What's your feedback on it?
I really liked it. I thought it was. I can never pronounce the lead actor's name, but
Alessandro?
I love him.
He was amazing.
He's so good. He's been in so many great movies, and he was great. I mean, the whole cast. Ray Liotta was amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's the movie's been out for a few months now, so we can kind of give some spoilers. But yeah, like the scene that they had in the car,
Oh yeah.
what he did to his dad. I was like, really? Where that's it? No more Ray Liotta?
I know.
And then when we see the scene, with his uncle, I really enjoyed it. It was one of those movies, and I feel like I've talked about it a lot, but it was one of those movies where I enjoyed it after watching it a few more times. I watched it 4 times, and
Oh
each
wow.
time I noticed something that I missed in the previous viewing, and it's truly a movie dedicated to the Sopranos fans. There's so many Easter eggs in there, and I heard they're actually going to build from it. David Chase just got I think a 5-year deal with HBO, and they're going to make into a series, just expanding on the prequels. So that should be exciting.
That is exciting. Oh my gosh. Well, I actually thought Michael Gandolfini is his son, right? That's his name. I thought he was brilliant. He did a great job, and I mean I love Vera Farmiga as well. I hopefully I'm saying everyone's names right, but just great cast. It was just it was so good. I love the Easter eggs too.
I mean, she probably did the best job. I think she stole the show. And Michael Gandolfini, I noticed him on The Deuce. He was on the HBO show The Deuce, and that was the first time that I noticed him. I was like, "Hold on, that's Michael Gandolfini. That's Tony's son." And the scene that kind of won me over in The Many Saints, where I was like, "This guy really belongs," is that scene in the kitchen with his mom, and they were just going back and forth, and it just so reminiscent of this is what young Tony was going through. This is why he's become who he is today, and going through visiting the psychiatrist. So that's the scene that won me over. I was like, he belongs.
Absolutely. Oh, New Jersey in those days must have been crazy.
Yeah. I just hear stories, so it was great to kind of go back and kind of see it from that lens of what it was like, and seeing the riots and kind of seeing how the mob was during that time, because we always see it in New York. I mean, all the movies that we see, Goodfellas and Godfather, were always in New York, in the 60s and 70s. Now we're kind of seeing it from the Jersey side, but even though it's just kind of right across, but it was cool seeing the neighborhoods.
And I'm an Italian from New Jersey too, so it's always been like, a special connection when I'm half Italian, but I like
nice.
American, but and you're when you do ancestry, and my great grandfather came from Naples and moved, and so I'm sure, you know, it's just interesting. It's like you just feel, I've always felt close to films and movies about Italians because it's part of.
What's amazing is, I interview, a lot of Italians, and they always want to call me Aunt because Zia, the way my name is spelled, Zia, but it's spelled Zia, is aunt in Italian. So I always get that a lot too. And I'm actually we have a lot of relatives that are also Italians as well too. So it's great, and everyone always wants to, say aunt when they see my name. So it's amazing. It's funny too.
That is cool. Yeah. Well, you have a really cool name, really unique name, and I'm glad that you gave me a little lesson prior to going on.
Since we were on mom movies, just want to lastly kind of end it with, what is your favorite mom movie? I know you said Goodfellas earlier. Is that your favorite mom movie, or?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. Goodfellas is awesome. Mine's is Casino.
That was mine. Yeah, I love Casino too. I love Sharon Stone. She's cool.
Yeah, she killed it. She was awesome as Ginger. Mm-hmm. Casino is also one of those movies that, at least once every few months I have to watch it. Like, you'll see a clip on YouTube. A recommended scene will be the desert scene with De Niro and Pesci. And you're watching for a few minutes, like, shit, I gotta go play this now and go watch it.
Oh yeah, and actually I love A Bronx Tale too.
Bronx Tale's great. Bronx with Lilo. I actually met Lilo at the mom movie con, Sopranos con too.
Cool.
That movie is also another timeless movie.
Another totally an unknown chosen for that role, I believe, right? Was that just kind of his first role?
Yeah, so he was actually discovered on a beach. So De Niro actually was looking for non-actors for a lot of these parts, and they were doing a casting call, and I think there was I don't know if it was an agent or a casting agent that was looking for folks that kind of resembled De Niro. And if I'm not mistaken, it was either his brother that was auditioning or his brother recommended him, and he just kind of by chance found himself auditioning for the role and was going head to head. Do you remember the guy that shot Sonny at the very end? Mm-hmm. Remember there was a kid, he was the son of the father that Sonny had killed in the beginning. So apparently it was between Lilo and that guy for the heads up role. And I think he beat out like a couple thousand people, but yeah, that was his first role. And, he was in The Renaissance Man. He was also, he was amazing in Sopranos. I loved him in Sopranos.
Yeah.
As well too.
I hope there's another like just big show like that, like Sopranos. Well, you said that, David Chase has this new deal, so I would love to see something like that again. It's just such an iconic show.
And not to just keep, shouting out different podcasts, but Talking Sopranos is another really good one. I don't know if you watched that, but it's with, you watched Talking Sopranos?
I haven't. Oh. I haven't, but I'll check it out. I just started to get into podcasts like kind of in the last year, so.
It's with the Michael Imperioli, who plays Christopher, and Steve Sciarippa, who plays Bobby, and they literally do an episode. They do a podcast for every episode.
Oh, wow.
They started in the pandemic, and they've literally done every episode. I'm a little behind. I think they're either wrapping up, they're right at the end. So that one's good too, because they literally dissect every episode, and they bring, guests from the show. And yeah, I mean, to be honest, that also kind of helped inspire me to make a podcast too after watching that. I mean, that podcast is amazing.
That's so cool. Well, you're doing a great job too. So you're a really great host to talk to.
Thank you so much. And just before we let you escape, I did have a fan question that I wanted to ask that actually someone had sent in, and they're really interested in learning, kind of what you do in your spare time when you're not working.
Well, I have 2 dogs, and so I go on like hikes and I paint. I'm pretty boring. I love to cook. I love to cook. I'm pretty boring. I'm not gonna lie.
What's your go-to dish?
I love to make like Italian food. I make like a chicken marsala. I like chicken parm. I make that, and make a lot of Italian staples. I want to make cannolis. I'm obsessed with cannolis. That's my favorite Italian dessert. So that's the one thing I really want to master because I'm a huge cannoli fan. They're my favorite.
There were so many cannolis at the Sopranos con. I mean, there's
Yeah.
just pumping out cannolis left and right.
they're so good. And in New Jersey, that I mean, you don't get them the same way that you do in New Jersey. They're just so good. And on my birthday every year, my mom would give me like a box of cannolis because I'm a huge cannoli fan. They're my favorite.
Yeah, definitely. Next time I'm in LA, I'm gonna need to try your cannolis once you make them.
Oh yes. Hopefully I've mastered it by then.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Jackie, again, just want to be respectful of your time. Just want to thank you again for joining today. Definitely want to bring you back. Once the film that you've wrote, we get some more details on that, and definitely want to keep up to date with your projects. And just want to thank you again for joining. This has been a blast.
Thank you, Zaya. Thank you so much. I had such a nice time talking to you, and hopefully we do this again.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.